Hello and welcome to our live booth coverage from Strata New York. I'm Max Slocum. We have a host of live interviews and highlights for you today, so we hope you'll stay with us throughout the day. My first guest today is Tim Moreton, CEO of Acunu. Tim, thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
So you have a session titled Navigating the Data Pipeline. What is the data pipeline?
That's right. Well, I think of the data pipeline as a simplifying metaphor to help people think, architects and developers think about how to structure big data problems and how to put systems together. So I guess roughly it's, if you're dealing with big data, you need to first collect a lot of raw data, and then you need to do something with it, right? So you need to analyze it or transform it or aggregate it. And in there, you need to obviously clean it and summarize it as well. But then you've got to do something with that, and you get this, you get a set of data which is of higher value, and you need to serve it back out the other side, or present it as present it in some way to users. So it's like when this comes to real time, you're really talking about events coming in, working out what to do with that, and then creating actionable information at the other end. And this isn't a new idea, but I think it's a really useful, it's a useful way of looking at the whole problem.
Do you feel there's too much complexity in big data systems, and does that pipeline metaphor help to address that complexity?
I think there's too much disjointness. I think the systems are too separate. I think it takes a lot of effort to move data and to reorganize it in a way which makes it suitable for this next stage in the pipeline. And I guess, my call to action with this pipeline is, hey, it's better to have a single pipeline rather than three leaky stages. If you're talking about real time, what you want to do is get the data in at the beginning and the results, the actions coming out from that as soon as possible out the other end. That latency through the pipeline is really, really important. So, and the value in being able to extract information from that is for many use cases is actually much higher if you can shorten that stage. And so I guess it's a call to action just to make people think about how you can unify that pipeline and ease that process and get greater value out of the data sets you're processing.
Do you feel that the data stack has to be re-engineered?
So, yes, for some cases, I think so. So if you're dealing with real-time data and your particular problem domain, batch analytics isn't what really, if there's real value in the real-timeness, and you're talking about data that's much greater than the amount of stuff you can fit in memory on a bunch of computers, then yes, I think so. I think what we've concentrated on is, the Hadoop framework nicely answers the question of how you scale out to a bunch of machines. There are a lot of, Cassandra, Hadoop, React, a whole bunch of different solutions to that scaling question. How do you move from a scale-up model to a scale-out model? But what we've neglected underneath, I think, is the local storage stack. How you effectively make good use of the resources that you bring to bear, like how you maximize that unit of scalability. And so for that, and in order to make that pipeline as closed loop as possible, I think that's where we really could use some insight, and that's what Acunu's doing as well.
So last question for you. How do you see the data stack evolving over the next couple of years? Short term, 2 years or so?
That's a very interesting question. So just focusing on the bottom layer of the data stack, so not looking at analytics or statistics or visualization, all useful parts of the process, but the area I know about is the data. And I think what we're going to see there is a lot of consolidation around some key interfaces. So I think the big contribution that Hadoop has made is really not in the MapReduce paradigm. That's quite useful, but it's a big sledgehammer for many use cases. I think where that's really valuable is looking at the higher level interfaces, the paradigms under which once we standardize them, we can then start innovating and pulling all of that together. So I think you'll see a much more holistic approach to integrating the lower layers of the stack with the once you've got the strong interfaces in place with the layers above that.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for inviting me.
We'll be back in just a moment with more live interviews here from Strata New York. Please stay with us.